Tariffs on everything from Canada would make life a lot more expensive.
Justin Trudeau is a weak leader, gains no respect from countries.
Trekkie flew to Mar-a-Lago within about 15 seconds after the call.
Canada has treated us very bad.
Donald Trump wasting no time, Joy, in weighing in on Justin Trudeau's resignation.
Justin Trudeau's resignation, announced just weeks before Donald Trump returns to the U.S. presidency, has drawn significant attention given the challenges Canada faces, especially with its largest trading partner to the south. With Trump prepared to reassert his America First policies, Trudeau's resignation introduces uncertainty about how Canada will navigate its relationship with the United States, especially as Trump renews his threats of steep tariffs on Canadian imports. As we move forward, I'd like to ask you a quick favor to subscribe and like this video. It takes just a second and helps us so much.
I intend to resign as party leader, as Prime Minister, after the party selects its next leader through a robust, nationwide, competitive process. Last night, I asked the President of the Liberal Party to begin that process. This country deserves a real choice in the next election, and it has become clear to me that if I'm having to fight internal battles...
Trudeau's resignation, while surprising in its timing, was presented as a move made in the broader interest of Canadians. In his statement, he emphasized the need for fresh leadership to continue the fight for Canada's well-being and to protect its economy during turbulent times. While his intent to remain in office until a new leader is chosen might offer some continuity, critics argue that the resignation weakens Canada's political stance at a time when steadfast leadership is needed. With the Liberal Party now focused on selecting his successor, key ministers who are potential contenders, like Foreign Affairs Minister Mélanie Joly and Finance Minister Dominic LeBlanc, may find themselves preoccupied with internal politics rather than the pressing demands of cross-border negotiations. Donald Trump, known for his unorthodox political statements, wasted no time in reacting to Trudeau's resignation.
Donald J. Trump of the state of Florida has received 312 votes.
As Congress certified Donald Trump's presidential win, he wasted no time weighing in on Canada's political turmoil. Many people in Canada love being the 51st state. The United States can no longer suffer the massive trade deficit and subsidies that Canada needs to stay afloat. Justin Trudeau knew this and resigned.
Taking to his Truth Social platform, Trump responded by suggesting Canada merge with the United States. He framed this as a logical solution to what he characterized as Canada's economic dependence on the U.S., claiming that such a union would eliminate the need for tariffs, reduce taxes, and enhance security against external threats. By suggesting that Trudeau's resignation was an acknowledgement of Canada's inability to sustain itself without U.S. support, Trump painted the move as a capitulation rather than a strategic decision. One of the most significant criticisms of Trudeau's resignation is the timing of his decision. Analysts like David McNaughton, Canada's former ambassador to the U.S., argue that an earlier resignation would have allowed the Liberal Party to complete its leadership transition and present a unified front before Trump's return to power.
I don't think it's particularly helpful for Prime Minister Trudeau to be making comments. I think that will simply spur Donald Trump on, and given the fact that the Prime Minister is stepping down or has stepped down, I think he should leave the field to the premiers and other members of the federal cabinet and the opposition to react to this, and he should stay out of it.
McNaughton suggests that Trudeau's delayed departure leaves the government ill-prepared to counter Trump's tariff threats or to navigate the broader challenges of U.S.-Canada relations during this critical time. The concept of a caretaker government during Trudeau's final months in office has also raised concerns among observers. Laura Dawson, a leading voice on Canada-U.S. relations, has highlighted the risks of a government operating in transition mode during a period of heightened geopolitical tension. She argues that the lack of decisive leadership undermines Canada's ability to engage effectively with Trump's administration, particularly on urgent matters such as trade and border security. Trump's recent comments on Truth Social, in which he suggested that Canada should merge with the United States, were probably made as a solution to perceived economic imbalances, like trade deficits and subsidies, but also as a way to better protect Canada from what he sees as external threats posed by Russia and China. Within Canada, Trudeau's resignation has prompted responses of both support and criticism from political leaders. Ontario Premier Doug Ford offered sharp criticism of Trudeau's timing and leadership. Ford, recognizing the gravity of the economic threats posed by Trump's administration, argued that Trudeau had failed to prioritize the most pressing issue facing Canada. The looming tariff threat from the U.S. Ford was vocal in his belief that Trudeau's resignation, while perhaps an inevitability, left the country unprepared for the diplomatic and economic challenges ahead. While Trump's statements may have captured the headlines, other U.S. responses to Trudeau's resignation were more measured, particularly from figures in the Biden administration. Karine Jean-Pierre, President Joe Biden's press secretary, responded to the resignation by emphasizing the long-standing and positive relationship between Trudeau and the United States. Jean-Pierre highlighted Trudeau's role as a steadfast partner, praising his contributions to various global issues and his leadership in defending North American interests. One of the more provocative elements of Trump's response to Trudeau's resignation was his claim that many people in Canada love being the 51st state. This statement referenced a narrative that has occasionally surfaced in American political discourse. The idea that Canada might benefit from closer integration with the United States, either economically, politically, or both. For many Canadians, the idea of becoming part of the United States is a point of contention, one that evokes deep questions about national independence and cultural identity. On the other hand, some Americans, especially those who align with Trump's political outlook, may have seen his comments as a reflection of their own skepticism toward Canada's ability to maintain its distinctiveness in a rapidly changing global environment. Trump's second presidency is likely to have significant consequences for North American geopolitics, particularly in how the U.S. positions itself relative to its neighbors and the rest of the world. The United States, under Trump, has often leaned toward a protectionist approach that challenges traditional alliances and institutions. If Trump seeks to redefine North American alliances during his second term, Canada could find itself in a difficult position, caught between a U.S. president advocating for more unilateral action and a world increasingly oriented toward multilateral diplomacy. The risk of escalating tensions with other global powers, particularly Russia and China, is another factor that could reshape North American relations. Trump has made it clear that he believes the U.S. needs to upgrade its economic and military might to defend itself against external threats. His calls for greater integration between the U.S. and Canada could be interpreted as part of a larger strategy to consolidate North American power as a counterbalance to Russian and Chinese influence. With Trudeau stepping down and a leadership race underway, the country enters a period of political uncertainty, which could undermine its ability to respond swiftly to developments in U.S. policy. A leadership vacuum is particularly concerning in the context of an aggressive U.S. administration, as Canada may struggle to maintain diplomatic momentum or negotiate from a position of strength without clear leadership. In the long term, Canada may find itself being pushed further into a subordinate position, forced to make concessions on issues like trade and border security in exchange for favorable treatment from its larger neighbor. The potential long-term effects of these events on North American relations will depend heavily on the actions taken by both Canada and the U.S. Moving forward, Canada will need to reassess its strategic priorities, focusing on rebuilding its leadership and influence on the global stage. U.S.-Canada relations could evolve into a more transactional, less collaborative dynamic, potentially reshaping the future of the North American continent. What do you think? How do you foresee the future of Canada-U.S. relations in light of these developments? Let us know in the comments.